Well, welcome to the Real Life, Real People podcast. Yes, I'm your host, Rob Elliott. And you know what? I am so honoured and privileged to have our guest today. I don't normally read out what they've done, but to get this right, I'm going to today. She is a business growth strategist, an engineer with 2 master's degrees, an international speaker and international best-selling author, CEO of her own company, started life in India and now resides in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the show, Parul Agrawa.
Thank you so much. It's truly my honor. And hello from sunny Arizona.
You are obviously you didn't grow up in Arizona. Where did you? What's your story? Where did you grow up?
No, I did not grow up in Arizona. In fact, I grew up in India, as you can tell by my name and by my accent. So,
Yes.
so I grew up in India, and
Mm,
it's a town.
mm,
It's called Roorkee, which is actually known for housing the very first engineering college in the country.
wow.
So when India was under British rule, this college was called Thomson College, I
Mm,
think. Of course, it was changed later on to University of Roorkee. And so I basically grew up in a town which was very rich in education, small
mm.
town, but very grounded and very proud of the engineering college that houses in my backyard
Yep.
still.
Because in Indian culture, they value education very, very highly, don't they?
They do, absolutely. And especially if you're coming from a town which has maximum engineers out there. It's
So you had
even
no
more so.
choice. You
I
had to
had
be an
no
engineer.
choice. Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I think things are changing now. Honestly, Robert, people have more options. Parents are more open to allowing their kids
Mm,
try different fields. I see a lot of people in digital marketing and stuff like that. But yeah, when I was growing up, we only had two options: either you go for the medical profession or you
mm.
go for the engineering degree.
So were there many female engineers when you were studying?
I would think so.
Mhm.
Yes. So I did my engineering from Bombay, and there were definitely lots of females. And even in my town, we had lots of engineers.
Did you ever
I told
think
you my daughter would be crying, and she is now.
did you ever think that you'd made the wrong
Yeah.
decision?
Yes.
Did you ever
I'm
doubt
sorry.
yourself?
Say that again.
You ever doubt yourself when you started doing engineering? What am I doing here? Because a lot of uni students get 1 year, 2 year in, and they go, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?"
Absolutely, absolutely. The studies were not so bad for me,
Mm,
essentially, uh, even though I failed in my first year. But it was more about the cultural shock, actually, that I got when I moved from the small town to the big city, Bombay, which is, as you know, the Bollywood city of the world.
yeah.
So, more than of course, the pressure of studies was there, it was different. But
Mm,
more than that, it was, hey, do I really fit into this modern metropolitan world, or I'm like that small town girl? So
mm,
adjustment, was a big issue for me,
yeah,
coming from the small town, having a very close knit,
yeah,
safe, secure family, and
yes,
then stepping out in the world. So that was really that was what made me think, hey, if I'm in the right place.
yes.
Not so much like, hey, am I doing engineering, is it right for me, but
Yep.
really, is this place right for me?
And do you think being a female in India and with the family, they had a higher expectation of you? They put more pressure on you from a good place, not a bad place, but
Right, I agree. um Not necessarily in my family,
mm,
but I do know, like, a lot of families who have these expectations on females and girls, and it's more like, hey, you have to scale in your studies, be a career woman, but at the same time, you have to also be a good housewife and a homemaker. So
mm,
there's a balance as such.
yeah,
Luckily, where I grew up in my family, everybody was highly educated, right from my grandparents, my
Yep.
grandmom. And I believe it more comes from the females in the family rather than males,
Yep.
right? The cultural thing. So my grandparents, my grandmother,
Mhm.
mother, they were all highly educated. So
Mhm.
they never pressurized us as females, me and my sister. I have a sister, to follow the traditional route.
Yeah.
So it was simple for me in that sense, but
Mhm.
I also understand that it's not the case with all the females out there.
So how did you end up in Arizona?
Oh, I got married. I had an arranged
Yeah.
marriage after I finished my studies and I was working. I had an arranged marriage. Pretty common in India, might not be so common in the Western world. It looks like a mythology, but uh, pretty common in India.
Yes.
So I had an arranged marriage, and my
Yep.
husband was already working here in
Yes.
Arizona.
Yeah.
And he's also from India, but he was, studying and living here before I met him. And he came down to get married to
Mhm.
India, and we had a very traditional arranged marriage through newspaper.
Mhm.
His advertisement came out in a newspaper, and my parents saw it, and my parents then contacted his parents. And uh, when they contacted his parents through this advertisement, we had no idea that we had any common connections. Later
Mhm.
on, we found out that we had a lot of common connections, people who knew each other. But yeah, it was a pretty traditional marriage. And
Yep.
um, I think if I tell people, they say that I'm crazy, but we got married like practically in 7 days
Yes.
from meeting for the very first time.
Yeah.
And I landed in US within 10 or 15 days.
Mhm.
My whole life changed.
Yeah. Well, look, if going by your resume and looking, I do a little bit of research, of course, before you come on. You've done amazing. You've really shattered the glass ceiling, as we say, both for women and Indian women. What you've been doing, I mean, you're working with the Indian government in research for digital and social media. That must be a very proud thing for you.
Yes, it is definitely. It's not sort of, it's a subdivision. They have this
Yeah.
media and social media research kind of foundation. And because I help write and publish books, I'm a
Yes.
publisher and publicist. So last year we launched my book, The Growth Hacking Book One, which is a collaborative book with a lot of influencers,
Mhm.
digital marketers, social media people from India and other parts of the world. And we did this launch in India. And that's when me, my work, and my company came in front of
Yeah.
people's eyes. And
Yes.
that was, an honored thing, that because we had a lot of people from the government of India who came to our launch, and
Yes.
they were really excited to see what this whole new thing is all about.
Yes.
The book is called The Growth Hacking Book. So this whole new thing about
Yes.
growth hacking and digital growth,
Yes.
make in India, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was a very honorable thing. Obviously, it is.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's more about, just really teaching people about the right use of social media,
Yes.
how to
Yeah.
use it correctly to promote your businesses. Yeah.
Yes. So is we'll get into, like, you are a business growth strategist, and people are coming to you, I think I would say, from India and America, vice versa, to understand, because two very different cultures, but two
Yes.
very alike cultures as well in many ways. How do you balance, as a CEO, a writer, a speaker, that side of you being the boss, the business lady, and then the family life? Are you the same person? Does one melt into the other? How do you get that balance? Because a lot of people do struggle with it.
It is kind of a struggle. Luckily for me, I have been working for myself for a
Mm,
very long time.
mm,
Even before people started working from home, I was working from home. But I think the key is to be disciplined, really, you
mm,
know um, and have those boundaries. for yourself, not with your children and family, but for yourself. Hey, while I'm working and
Mm.
not really spending time on anything else.
Yeah.
And while with my children, I'm with my children and giving them all the time that they need, really.
Yeah.
So it's all about, like, having that discipline in both parts of your life.
Yeah.
If, with that, being an entrepreneur, you can work 24/7,
Mm.
because there's no limit to ambition, no limit
Yeah.
to serving the clients. But you have to understand that you might have one or two less clients here and there, but your children will not have another mom. So,
Yeah.
you sometimes just have to call the cards, and you have to figure out what is your priority at that point of time.
Yeah. So putting on your business growth strategy hat, I'm going to flip this both ways. If someone from India, you're talking to them, what is the biggest challenge people from India have when they come to want to do business in America and Australia? Because the cultures don't necessarily
Yeah.
don't mix, and sometimes what is acceptable in one isn't acceptable in the other. Business practices are different. So what do you say to someone who is from India who says, help, how do I break into these markets? How do I keep my honor, keep who I am, not embarrass myself, but still be able to do business?
Yes, that's a great question, and that this is an issue. The key here to know is that each of the markets have their own skills.
Yes.
So somebody from India might be good, let's say, with technology, but somebody from Europe and other places might be really good with arts. So
Yes.
it's like, how we can collaborate together and use our skill to the best of potential, rather than,
Mhm.
and having that open mindset and open conversations.
Mhm.
Um, not getting offended, because with different cultures here in US or in
Yeah.
Western, we are a little bit more open to feedback.
Yes.
In India, we are a little bit take it personally, because everything becomes very personal.
Yes.
So understanding that it's nothing to do with you as a person, it's a
Mm.
proper advice or a 360 constructive criticism,
Yes.
to figure out what are the loopholes
Yeah.
and bridge that gap. So and then the biggest fear that people have is, I have a different way of communication, I have a different accent, I have, I might not be able to explain them or like fit into this um, community because I
Mm.
don't speak like them. And I always tell them, you don't really have to speak like them. It's not about the way you speak, it's all about, what you bring on table,
Yes.
and what you have to offer. So be yourself rather than trying to imitate a third person,
Mm.
because they are not trying to imitate you, they have their own skills, you have your own skills. So, understanding that every person is unique and has something to offer,
And if
this
I
changes the mindset.
yeah, so if I had to reverse it and someone from Australia or America said, look, I've got this great product, I'd love to have a go at cracking into the Indian market. I mean, they have a very different, like their equivalent of iTunes is something totally different. Their social media is very different. What would you say to a business person who's maybe never been to India, only seen, is going to get the opportunity to go to a trade show, and him wants to make the right impression, doesn't want to offend, but wants to do business with people in India? What would you say to him?
Wants to do business with people in India, I would say that again, Indians in general are very hospitable,
Yes, they are.
kind and considerate.
They are true.
So
Yes.
sometimes they might just seem like too hospitable, and that is just their nature. So
Yes.
don't get offended in
Yeah.
that respect if they invite you to your house even after meeting you for the very first time,
Yeah.
because that's their culture, that's the
Yes.
way that they behave. And be again, because India is such a vast country, you really do
Yes.
not know whom to trust, whom not to trust, especially
Yes.
when it comes to business. Be very open in communication and
Mhm.
have everything, laid out in paper and planning, because sometimes they might promise something and they might realize, hey, what they promised was not really deliverable. So have very clear goals and expectations right from the beginning. Yes. So that's one of the keys. Of course, I mean, you can find some of the best talent there for a very affordable price, but make sure that whatever they are offering you is deliverable, if that makes sense, right? Because sometimes people might promise things that they seem they think that are deliverable but are not the reality. Yeah. So
Yeah.
having that clear conversation, not really getting offended by the
Mm.
overly loving and hospitable kindness of the Indian culture, Indian people, and just being yourself. You know, people in India, they really love meeting and interacting with
Mm.
people from different nationalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it would be a challenge both ways. I see Indian culture and Indian markets seem to be opening up more now to the world than ever before, and people are finding out more about this beautiful country. I mean, being an Australian, we find it, we see India through the eyes of cricketers, and
yes.
they show what goes on behind the scenes. And we have people like past captain Steve Waugh, who has done a lot of work in India for the poor and disadvantaged, and he takes his camera there, and we get a very different view to what maybe the television puts out there, or
Right.
all of that, which I think is absolutely, I think it's great that it's opening up now. And you're now in America. You've written some books. You speak about, I think it was a mompreneur. Is that a mum that's an entrepreneur in one of your TED talks or something I was reading?
My TED Talks is titled How to Engineer Your Passion.
Yes.
But I have spoken on different mompreneur summits
Yes.
and, entrepreneur summits also.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, what's your target audience on that? Who do you normally look after with that type of inspirational talk?
People like us, people who are
Yep.
entrepreneurs and who really want to take their business to the other level, either through digital promotions or through book writing and stuff like that. Because I feel that we entrepreneurs have so much potential. And
Mhm.
I have a soft corner for entrepreneurs because I come from an entrepreneurial family. I'm
Yep.
one. But at the same time, I believe, if you're working for somebody, we are just working for them. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have the potential of providing employment to so many other people out there.
Mm.
So you're creating new jobs, you're
Yeah.
creating new opportunities to all the people out there. So my whole goal is to really help leaders in any field share their message and really grow and be at that level which they never envisioned, essentially.
Hmm.
Yeah, share their message and mission, and could not be, and when I talk about level, it's not necessarily level with money or level with
Yeah.
how many books you sell. It's about all about serving the humanity. It's all
Yeah.
about being of service to that other person. So hey, I a person I worked with never thought that they could actually serve somebody through their book or through their business, but they ended up doing that,
Yeah.
and which gave them more happiness and satisfaction than maybe $1 million in their bank.
So when you get to meet someone who's got this amazing idea, they've got this book idea, and they want to make money out of it, what's the first couple of things you say to someone who's got all the energy in the world but doesn't know what to do or how to get it, into that where it's printed, it's out there, he's selling courses, she's speaking. What do you say to them to get them, calm them down and sort of get that energy all focused?
That's a great question because I also have a background in holistic coaching, right?
Mm.
So after engineering, I became a holistic health coach. So I tell them, if you really need to focus in life, then the first thing you need to do is go on a little detox, because then your gut is not sending all these wrong signals to your brain, because you're getting rid of all the gunk and the parasites that are
Mm.
there in your intestine, and
Yep.
you have a clear gut brain connection. And so the simplest, easiest way that you could do to have more clarity in life
Yep.
is to eat healthy and eat better.
Yes.
And you know um it's not, it's basically pure science, and we have seen that some of the top entrepreneurs or
Yeah.
CEOs or business leaders like Steve Jobs, they always went on a detox before they had to take any important financial or business decision.
So you're telling me I need to cut back on my naan bread and my Rogan Josh?
You have to cut back for me on my curries.
Yeah. And so after you've done the detox and you've got them their insights, how do you work with them after that to get them to where they need to be to make the most of their idea?
So if, let's say, somebody is coming to me for books, because that's my major area. So
Yep.
there are three I would say criterias, or three areas where people actually want to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Either they want to write it to grow their business, or
Mm-hmm.
they want to write it because they feel that they have a really life changing
Yep.
message and they just want to share their message with the world,
Yeah.
or they just want to write it because it's healing and therapeutic for them.
Yes.
So I ask them to sit down and really understand why they want to write a book.
Yeah.
And if they really want to write it to grow their business, and if they have all these programs and courses, then which business seems to be the most lucrative to them, and which business is something which will help them right away. Because one thing I always tell them, that hey, you do not become a millionaire by selling books overnight. So it's a
No.
process, right? So we have to explain it to them that hey, no matter how much you're investing, the ROI will probably not come directly in book sales right away.
Yeah.
It will come through other means. So
Yes.
it depends upon what their goals are really. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are like, hey, I don't really care about making money. All I want to do is share my message because I feel
Yeah.
that it's really life changing.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding their goals, understanding their ideas, like this lady, she called me yesterday, amazing story, and all she wants to do is inspire others. So then sitting down and carving out what, if she has like hundreds of ideas, which idea is easily applicable and can be written the fastest.
So what you're saying is some people just want to read a book, get their message out. Others want to use the book as a springboard to do speaking and then sell their course so they can actually make a living off their idea.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, cool, cool. It's listening to you and listening to your passion. If anyone, and a lot of people will hear this on iTunes or Spotify, but I'd like to encourage people actually to go onto YouTube and see the passion in your whole face when you talk about this. You can
Oh,
see
thank
something that
you.
it's truly close to your heart, and it's great to see. We see so many uh, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram ads of come with me, free course, write your book, all this type of, and it's just, you look at it and you go, oh, really? It's another one with another ad, and you never know who's good, who's bad, who's just following a process that they've learned somewhere else. So, what's the future now for you? You're very successful in what you're doing. What's the next challenge apart from bringing up your lovely children, which we can hear in the background?
Oh, I'm so sorry about it. I hope it's a little bit
It's
less
good.
noisy right now.
I love it. I think it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Usually, she cries when I'm in a meeting. She knows mommy's in a meeting and
Yes.
starts making all these noises. But see, I think, most of the time we tend to look outwards, like what do we need really? What's the next?
Hmm.
But for me, the next challenge is going inwards, really dive deeper into myself and understand what my life purpose would be
Yep.
and how I can serve humanity. Because I feel honestly that a lot of things will change in the world, and we are heading to this new earth in the coming few
Yes.
years. So how can I best serve humanity? Is
Yeah.
that through helping them publish their books? Maybe, yes,
Yeah.
but maybe it could be something more than that. So really, rather than just, as you mentioned, going out there and doing Facebook ads and stuff like that, of course all that is there and I'll get lots of
Yeah.
clients, but at this point it's all about, hey, what do I need really, and listening to that inner voice. And
Yeah.
that's my biggest challenge, because with all these noises
Yes.
from the outside world, it's so
Yes.
difficult to listen to your inner voice and really understand what do we need from life.
Yeah. As we
Yeah.
say in Australia, listen to your gut.
Yes,
Gut
exactly.
is
Yeah.
always right. Your head, not so many times. As we start to come out of this post-COVID, we're a little bit ahead of you, we hope, and stay that way than what is in America at the moment.
Yes.
For our entrepreneurs, if you could give them two pieces of advice for when, especially where you live, but anywhere in the world as we start to come out of the COVID pandemic, what would you say to them?
Two pieces of advice I would give them is, do not focus on the how, focus on why.
Yeah,
Why do you want to do what you want to do? Really, what's your why do you want to write that book? Why do you want to have that podcast? Why do you
yeah,
really want to sell that course? And the how will follow in place.
yes,
Okay, because if you have the right intention, if you have the right mindset,
yes.
then the universe makes the how happen for you,
That's
really.
lovely. That's beautiful.
Yes. So you really need to be sure about your why.
Yes,
And then secondly, always try to be of service to humanity,
yes,
because it's all, it's all related to each other. If
yeah,
we know our why, and if we know why we are trying to serve the
mm,
humanity, then the how will follow. You might go into that meeting and you
mm,
might think, hey, why am I coming into this meeting? It's totally, not for me.
yep,
But you might find that one person who might be your investor, or you might
yeah,
find that one person who might be your next high end client. So,
yeah,
rather than so much focusing on, hey, I need that money, I need
yep,
this much, I need to make $1 million, focus on, s- y- let's say I was in a class this Saturday, and they're like, hey, rather than focusing on $1 million, focus on what kind of car do you want, what color of car do you
yes,
want, because when you focus on that car, you'll get that $1 million to actually buy that car.
yeah.
So you really have to focus on what kind of clients you want to serve.
Mm.
The how will fall in place.
That's absolutely awesome. Well, what I will do in the show notes, I will put the links through to your business and a few of your other
Thank
things so
you.
people can have a look and maybe contact you. It has been truly a pleasure to talk to you today, all the way from the USA into Australia. And this will, as you know, will go all around the world. Uh, it's been fantastic to speak to someone who's got such good passion, isn't afraid to get out there and have a go, proven everybody wrong. You're showing that a lady can be successful, have a family, study, and be your own boss. And I think that's a lot of young women should actually take the time to listen to this
Oh, thank
and,
you.
and see what can be achieved with a bit of hard work, a bit of luck, and some good old Indian focus. As we know what you guys are like, especially in the cricket. When you decide you want to beat anybody, you guys can do it. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You. Thank
And
you.
you stay safe over there,
You too. And thank
and
you.
we'll talk
Have
soon.
a good evening.